Hello and welcome back, and we're gonna end off Lady in the Tramp. So at this point, Lady's running behind the carriage that has Tramp in it. Her two friends are running behind the carriage as well. They can't keep up with her. She had to learn the street skills that Tramp gave her in order to even track him down in the first place. The best friend of hers had to use his scent hound skills to track his scent to bring him back. Lastly, um, what's the last thing? Uh, they managed to track the carriage down, and he's yelling in the back, "No, no, 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 no! Y'all don't want to do this! No, 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 no!" And she's like, "No, we're not gonna leave you here." Your God ordained spouse don't want you involved in whatever it is. He wants to keep you out of his mess. So he don't want to risk you in what he's dealing with. But by this point, you already deep in it. You already in it. It's like, look, we ain't gonna let this happen. I love you, but I'm ignoring what you just said. And she went ahead in front of the carriage and scared the horses into stopping, which caused the carriage to flip over, and he gets thrown out one side. The dog catcher get thrown the other way, and the horses done broke off the carriage anyway, so they ran off and went somewhere. She runs over to him and is pushing on him. Tramp, Tramp, wake up, wake up, wake up. And she's like, you gotta wake up. And then she finally admits she loved and cared for him. Some of y'all, what they did, or even what you just did, is going to mess with their character, but you're going to have that life-saving move that's going to position them to be able to make the decision as to what needs to be done next. They can either choose you or choose the life that they were living, which basically means they can either choose you and choose to walk with the Lord, or they can choose to continue to remain out and away, because this is the point in time her owners show up with the baby, and the dog catcher's trying to drag him away, and the wife says, no, you're not going to take him, because they realize that he's hurt. And they're like, no, we got it wrong, because we didn't realize that he was the one that saved our child. He, by now seeing that his foot is bloody, he was bitten by the rat. He got bit by the rat, but he killed the rat at the same time. And this is when they come to the understanding, you can't take him. And the dog catcher, he's in his own mind. No, there's only one solution to this. We're going to take him back to the pound and we're going to put him down. There's only one solution. And he's crazed about it. There are people in your God ordained spouse's life, oh my God, they've been trying to come against you, try to come against him, they've been secretly plotting all kinds of stuff. They're like, we are going to take him out. This is the last opportunity we had. We have completely destroyed his character. This is our opportunity. We are about to completely remove him. Come on now. That means that we get the spot if that happens. But there's going to be people between you and your people and somebody in his court. And God might even send somebody that is a deliverer in this situation that you didn't even know from left field that's going to be a defense for this man in this situation in particular, where it could thoroughly destroy his character, that is going to literally position him that he gets to make the choice. Because the woman said, he's our dog. And he's like, wait, you didn't say that he was your dog. What do you mean? He's like, he's our dog. So she bends down and starts to pat her leg and say, come here. And lady goes and stands next to her, knowing he'll come to her if she's standing next to her. So he gets on his hobbledy leg and manages to get up and start to walk towards them. And the man, he's freaking out because he's like, he almost had him. But she's like, that's our dog. And you want to complain about it? That's our dog. And the husband is like, husband looks at the wife, he ain't even going to complain. He's not going to fight her on this. Yes, that's our dog. That's our dog. Your holiday spouse has been looking for a home. But the only way he's going to find it is with you. And he's going to find it in the house of God. That's the only way. And because of that, that's where he's going to find his secure place, his safe space, his home. He no longer has to wander. He no longer has to wonder. He no longer has to stay out in these streets thinking and hanging out in spaces he really don't want to be in. Because let's be honest with you. You got today's spouses living out here playing games and acting all like they heart ain't never been out in there. They were out in that because that was their lifestyle. That was their industry. That's the way that people got down. I used to know a woman that was an accountant at the bank, and because of the business type lifestyle that a lot of the people operated in, she was sometimes in charge of getting the entertainment for the business folks. They would sometimes end up getting limousines, and end up at the bar, the club, and then the escort service afterwards. Point being, don't mean that that's where the man liked being. I'm talking about real estate agents. I'm talking about architects. I'm talking about people that had the money to lay down the money up in them clubs and to buy all the bottles they got the money to do it. But that don't mean that they won't be out there. That don't mean that that's the lifestyle that they truly, if they could truly have the choice, going home and being with their spouse, with their family and their kids. The only reason that they was out there was because that was the environment that they was in. Some of your men are older men. They know they need to settle down. But they was out there because everybody liked that lifestyle. It's like, hey, this is the life. This is what you're supposed to do, right? But they ain't met the one that's going to settle them down. The one that's going to bring them into that place that they'll be able to finally relax and be. To bring them out from off that street, out from in these streets with them ladies, with them. Call them what you want to call them. This is on you. Read between the lines. But now that they have met you and they know, they're like, I don't want that life no more. I'm hearing Joe's old song, I don't want to be a player no more. Yeah. Don't want to be a player. They don't want to be out there. Half of them didn't want to be out there. They ain't want to be out there as long as they've been out there. Some of your men, come on, I'm gonna put it out there. Some of your men have tried before to get married, but Either the woman played them, the woman then did something. Or the Lord just did not make it happen because it was not you and it was not time yet. They've been trying to get out of that lifestyle. But they ain't met nobody. They had actually come to that point and they were like, I give up on this. But isn't that the way that God works? When you let it go, you relinquish it and you let God have it. God, that's when God brings it. That's when God brings it. So he made the choice. He went with them. Went back to the lady and her family. So, oh, I wanted to mention this. Two things. Deborah, the action in which you take will be a move of anointing as defense. Remember, Deborah was married to Barak. And because Deborah was one that was a defender, she spoke up, she has political views and values. Even if you look at Esther, her influence. Some of y'all got that kind of influence, and me and the Lord been having a moment. And I'm gonna be honest with you, had some real time here. That we've been discussing this because I'm like, Lord, I've been watching too much Candace Owens. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm like, Lord, how you want me to stand in this type of situation? Because I'm like, I got a voice on me. Put me in the right rooms with the right, because there's some things, stuff that I've witnessed in times and seasons, and I'm like, if I open my mouth and get hitched up and hooked up with the right people, problems. So I defend all day long. I got that mouth that's what you call what's the name? What's the name? I got one of those types of mouths, the type of judicial lawyer. They call them the argumentative lawyer, the lawyer that brings the argument. I'm that person. I will bring you every detail. I will bring you all of the evidence. I will bring you every scripture. I will bring you every piece of investigative, reported. I bring it all to you. Say something. I got you. That's who I am. So I look at the Lord. I'm like, these political views and all this kind of stuff. Use the Deborah, which also means that if your husband is in some trouble, you're the voice that could potentially be the one to clear his name. But that also being said, I didn't mention this, Goliath. When those horses were about to snap off from the dog catcher's cart, she had to come forth in front of them in order to risk herself. Potentially, she could have gotten trampled by both those horses. You may have to put yourself in a predicament that could literally put you in physical danger before your spouse. In a level of boldness, in a level of clarity, in a level of defense. Just like Abigail when she went to David in defense of her husband, but ended up positioning herself to end up married to David. Same goes for David positioning himself before Goliath. But you got the equipment. You've been out here. You've been in the holding pattern, but you ain't been sitting in the holding pattern staring at the wall trying to figure out, oh, I'm waiting for this paint to dry and my God, a day spouse to come and I'm just no, you've been in the wilderness. You've been doing the work. You've been sitting here. You've been getting the stuff done. You've been working on the stuff. You ain't been sitting there twiddling your thumbs. You was working. Just because you was in a holding pattern didn't mean you wasn't working. You've been at work and you've been working hard. Working hard, exhausted, starving, and everything else. And what you gained, what you prepared, and what you created is going to help defend this man when the time comes, which means just like David had them 5 smooth stones, you got some tricks and talents up your sleeve that are going to loose your spouse. It's going to loose other people from the places in which they call to leave and evacuate. Because there's some industries, places, and spaces that their people are literally being held as slaves in the spirit. And they want out. They look like they're happy, but they want out. They under certain type of contracts, and some of them are under blood covenant contracts, meaning they signed some stuff in blood. They was involved in some rituals. Hello. They didn't know what they were getting into when they signed that stuff. And I'm talking about corporate people. I never forget. Off the record. I was reading an article, and it was a specific person from a specific industry. And this wasn't a main person, meaning this wasn't a celebrity. This was a person that just worked. And they were climbing up the ranks in their corporate positions. And as they were climbing up the ranks in these corporate positions, they were invited to a meeting. And in the opportunity to gain access to this meeting, and not everybody got access to this thing. It was because they had clout. It was because they XYZ. They got access. This is the type of stuff that your husband may have scenarios with. But you're supposed to have the anointing that's going to move, maneuver, and potentially get them out of these types of things. That character assassination moment is actually a moment where they get to choose. Do I want to save my reputation or not? Some might choose not to save their reputation. They might let their reputation die with the situation, but they gonna use the opportunity to still get with you. Because you can't be a stray street dog and still living up in the house. So the stray street dog mentality had to what? Die. That character assassination had to take out part. How does the word go? When I was a child, I thought as a child, but when I'm a man, I put away childish things. But there's also a scripture that goes, it was just on the tip of my tongue. 8 and 36 through 38 of which chapter? I'm picturing it in my head. There it is. Um, I have to be willing. They have to be willing to give their life for God. So, uh, give me 1 second. I'll find it. I got time on here. I haven't opened this in a minute, so that's not what I was trying to do. Oh, I know what the name of it was. There it is. This one. Yes. Okay. For whomever for whomever will save his life will lose it, but whoever that loses his life for my sake and the gospel at the same shall save it. They gotta lose their reputation. They gotta lose everything about who they was to be able to walk in this new life with you and with God. So with that being said, the choice would be made that he's going to come inside. Your God-ordained spouse is going to come into the Lord. He's going to fully commit. He's going to give up the parts of his life that he had not surrendered over to the Lord because of you. All of them. Every part, because he tired. They've been out here running from Jesus. They've been running. They've been running. And the Lord's been trying to get them to come back all this time. And so they're going to come home. Go back and look at the word where I talk about, I believe it's the God positioning, is the words surrounding the God positioning system. I can't think of it. He's coming home. It's something in relation to he's coming home, but it's a word over there in relation to him coming home. And I talk about God's leading them home. But lastly, they're going to get cleaned up. They're going to get cleaned up. They're going to be bandaged. They're going to be bruised. They're going to be hurt. And you're going to have to walk them through the process because they ain't been in a house. They ain't house trained like you are. They don't understand how to be house trained by the church. They don't understand how to walk with God the way you understand how to walk with God. You've been doing it your whole life, or for at least a lengthier period than they have. Or if they were doing it, they had fell off for a period, and they coming back, and they're a little lost. You're gonna have to guide them through this part because they're bruised, they hurt. Life outside done made them hard in certain areas. You're gonna have to coax them through this, but it's going to be a new beginning for them, and it's a learning process. but you're going to have to walk with them through this learning process. And a lot of us are, this is where we are. No, he ain't perfect when he coming to you. He needs you as much as you need him. He's going to open up doors and introduce you to some things, but for right now, and this is something that me and the Lord have been in conversation about, because there's a level of understanding that I did not have, because I kept wondering if the Lord got me to sit down and look at some things in the past 24 hours that gave me understanding, because I was in a bit of that place where lady was when she was like, oh, why do I have to go the scenic route? Why can't I just walk through? A lot of us feel like God done gave me the plan. Now that you're here, hey, let's just go straight for it. And you got a spouse is saying, cool your jets, slow down. You got to go the scenic route. He's going to need to lead you through this process. He's going to need to lead you the safe route in order to get. He's going to need to lead you away from the snakes, the vipers, and all of this type of stuff. And some of us have been in that phase where we've been like, why is it, Lord, I can't just go in and we together now? And what's with all of this? You've been telling us we're going to be the power couple and this, that, and the other. We're going to be kingdom marriage and we're going to be, and God's like, yeah, you're going to be all that. But I need for you to take a season for you both to relax, rest, adjust. There going to be things going on in the world that y'all going to need to be in this space. You're going to need to be in a level of security and hedged in a safe space, a rested space. And while you're in that safe, rested space, yes, your family is going to be expanding during that period of time. You're going to be pregnant. You're going to be dealing with all of these kinds of things. Breathe. It's a process. Know the process. Work with the process. But understand this. You're already in position. When your husband show up, guess what? Even if you get pregnant, you're in position. You're positioned. Because you're with them. You're positioned. Some of us have been, and I had to even admit myself, a lot of us have been in that place where we've been complaining, God, why I gotta wait so long? God, you done showed me all this. God, it's been 5 years. God, it's been almost 10 years. God. And God's like, did you not just see that I slowly elevated you up through this process? I'm about to sit you next to the man. Yeah, you're not going to be out there and y'all ain't going to be running and it ain't going to be. Let me just sit you there for right now. Understand that your position, yeah, I know God done gave you the plans and you feel, and I'll tell you right now, Apostle Youngblood did a word yesterday called exalted in due time. A lot of us have been exalted, and remember the word that I released to you not too long ago, talking about we want to take a leap and God's making us take steps. God's just going to make you take that next step. It's another level of elevation, and it's a much higher level of elevation than we've ever experienced when we move into these relationships with our God-ordained spouses. But it's still going to be a few more steps before you get the recognition and all of this that the Lord has shown you you're going to get. You ain't there for the recognition. How many of y'all are really there for the recognition? You weren't there for the recognition. You wanted the peace, the rest, and God's about to give that to you. Yes, it can be exciting and God can be igniting with that. Do go look at his word on in due season. Exalted in due time. Because he was pretty much expressing you're where you're supposed to be. But you got to come to the recognition you've elevated up until this point. You're about to be positioned in such a way that, think about it, you're going to have this man's ear. You're going to be at his side. You're going to be in his home. You weren't there a minute ago. Hey, y'all. I need you to sit down. Those of y'all that ain't there yet, can you look around where you are right now? Look around where you are right now. Look around where you are right now. Look around where you are right now. God's about to elevate you to at least the degree that you're with the man. If you're in the house with him, you better not complain. It's like, you know how hard you fought to just get there? Don't be complaining because, well, now that I'm here, let's go run and do the work. It's like, God's like, just chill. Take this next season and enjoy just being in the married part of the experience, okay? Just enjoy that part. Enjoy that part. Once you move past that part, it's going to be another level. God's showing me certain things and specific things in relation to my elevation. But don't take for granted the fact that you just got there. When you get there, don't take for granted that you're going to be there. Esther sat in her seat before she was used for 5 years. Some of y'all gonna need to sit in a seat as the wife, rearing and cleaning the house. But guess what? You're sitting in the house. You're in the position. You're married to them. You're their spouse. You got the babies. You're in the best position you can ever be in. Because more than any of the other positions, yes, what the Lord has called you to do is important, but the ministry of being a parent to the children that are going to be reared to be that next generation, being the wife and taking care of your family and the home experience, that's as important too. So don't take advantage of that. You're going to move into the position in which what God has shown you in due time, but be prepared. You're going to be okay being in the wife and the mother and the that position. Enjoy that place. You'll be out there in due time. You'll be doing the things and the visions and all of this type of stuff that the Lord has shown you that you're going to be doing. And that you've laid before his feet and prayed over. You're going to get that. But wait. You got to be moved into it. God's easing you into the position. Before you know it, you'll be there. And you'll be like, dang, when did I get here? Yeah. But you got to situate and you got to position yourself. And by being next to them, you're going to be ready. Because they're going to be able to assist you in getting into that position. We're about to come out of here, but much love, faith, peace, and blessings to you. I'm Todd.